Welcome back to America's Voice Live. The House Education Workforce Committee has determined that Harvard University did not sufficiently discipline students who violated the school's policies during anti-Israel protests following the October 7th terrorist attacks in that country. Documents obtained by the committee revealed that between April the 24th and May 14th, Harvard initiated disciplinary cases against 68 students. But despite this, none of these students are currently suspended, and 52 remain in good standing. Remarkable, isn't it? The committee asserted that Harvard failed to enforce Title VI, which prohibits a, quote, hostile environment based on race, color, or national origin. The committee also noted that Harvard's administrative board downgraded the sanctions of 35 students who were initially placed on disciplinary probation, which was reduced from 6 months to less than 2 months. Absolutely no accountability at all. Here to discuss this is Turning Point USA contributor Morgonn McMichael. Morgan, nice to see you. Look, how is it that university after university, we see all of this horrible behavior? We see Jewish students, locked in rooms, barricaded in, trying to get through all this. We see students being told they can't come on campus, and that happened to UCLA and other places. We saw what happened in Columbia, and here at Harvard, more of the same. And yet nobody is held accountable. How is that possible if the same thing was done to a Muslim student or a black student or some student from some other group? This would not be acceptable because it's not acceptable. Right.
It's absolutely not acceptable. There would be outrage among all liberals on every single one of these college campuses if a minority group was attacked, all because of DEI that they've been pushing at these woke institutions. What makes me really upset is Harvard donors will not pull their funding. I genuinely think that if donors started to speak with their money and pull their funding from the university, these students would no longer be students at Harvard. It's very much just Gen Z entitlement, where these college students think that they can get away with anything. And let's be honest, these were not just anti-Israel protests. These were pro-Hamas terrorist sympathizers who are domestic terrorists on these college campuses, making unsafe environments for not just Jewish students, but Christian students from walking around campus safely, getting to classes. Their encampments, they got violent, people got hurt. This isn't just a peaceful protest. If it was, it wouldn't be a problem. We have the First Amendment, we have the right to protest, but instead you have school administrators who are backing up these radicalized students and saying that it's totally fine to be violent on their campuses. And now you have more than 60 kids at Harvard alone haven't been suspended. Who knows how many at Columbia, UCLA, and every other campus that also supported and allowed these protests to happen.
Are you seeing any pushback from the student body in general? And I don't mean just the Jewish students. The Jewish students obviously have been trying to speak up and demand that they have a safe learning environment, which is, by the way, promised by the bylaws of every college and university in this country. Those bylaws have been ignored by and large across this country. But what about the student body in general? I'm not seeing the kind of protests that I thought we might by this time of the year, because you've got the ongoing trouble with Israel and Hamas. But what are you seeing? Where are we in the conversation on college campuses today?
I mean, the protest that previously happened was all a coordinated attack, seeing how many protests and encampments and violence was happening across the country during those just a couple of weeks. But today, we're not seeing that same backlash that was happening, which I'm very surprised by, seeing the recent news when Israel was facing a lot of missiles in their country and the Iron Dome failed just last week. So I think that honestly, where are the college students? And it's very unfortunate that we are not seeing any backlash from college students actually standing up and making a statement. I think a lot of them are scared. I interviewed a bunch of students this week what their thoughts are on the conflict, and a lot are very concerned with Israel versus Gaza and what Kamala Harris and what Donald Trump are going to do about the conflict. And so I hope to see some college students actually stand up against Harvard and against the school administrators and say, this is wrong. These students should not be students here, and they should not be in good standing whatsoever.
Morgan, greatly appreciate you being here. Morgonn McMichael, Turning Point USA contributor. We're going to keep an eye on all of this. And thank you for being here on a Friday.